faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal!
It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Okay, let's do this. Let's just adjust this camera a bit. Okay. So, how are you today? This is an interesting show brought to you only by the mental midget that sits before you that would think of these things, but you have to admit, I'm pretty much online with everything. Only because my detective skills and investigation skills and logic skills tell me the truth before the lying Democrats are found caught guilty of what they're doing. I think the thing that has changed my life in terms of my thought process about this country and where it's going occurred over the past year or so as I watched the congressional activities of Democrats and Republicans, one, while Democrats were in charge, and when they were in charge, the Republicans couldn't say shit. Republicans couldn't talk, they could have their little 2 seconds or whatever, but the Democrats were in charge, and that's the way it was. It was like Nazis in power. And then, when the Republicans took back Congress and started in 2023, it was a whole different thing. Instead of the Democrats being charged, the Democrats were no longer found, because why should they show up and participate if they can't get what they want? In other words, what's important to them has nothing to do with the United States. It has to do with what's important to them. And what's important to them is to get reelected, to keep making more money, and steal as much money during their lifespan from the American taxpayers. And that's the way it is. And so after you watch this, you realize the system is broke. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You know, I watch these movies and Mission Impossible, and they're in Italy, they're in Bulgaria, they're all over Europe. All the cities are beautiful, beautiful. Streets are clean, and you think to yourself, God, why don't I go visit there? I may not want to come back. Why is it that the blue zones of the United States, that's where Democrats rule, and it's not a large portion of the United States, it's a very small portion of the United States, but the Democrats use what I call the Rhode Island Reconstruction, Rhode Island replacement. What the Democrats do is they say, okay, let's control the United States with the least amount of land so we can get whatever we want. Okay, so let's take Minnesota. Minnesota is a very large state. 95% of Minnesota is controlled by Republicans. They live in the state. But only 5% of Minnesota, which is basically Minneapolis in that area, and then the Somaliland that Obama created to put in immigrants to help seed blue votes, they control Minnesota with the governorship and everything from those little areas. Now, because of congressional districts, they only have 4 out of the 8 congressional districts are Democrat, all in that little area. And the other 4 represent such a large area. Oregon is the same way. Probably about 75% of Oregon is lived in by Republicans and controlled by Republicans. But 25% of the state is controlled in a small area, the big cities. It gives you the impression, if you would think logically, that the Democrats a long time ago decided that they couldn't live in a republic, which includes the Constitution. So they have to turn and make it a democracy. You hear them all the time going, "We're a democracy." Well, we're not. We're a republic. We're a constitutional republic. And the Democrats violate the Constitution every damn day. They don't care. And as long as they can control power, it's what they're doing. Unfortunately, our nation can't deal with it any longer. Our experiment of a republic has failed. And it has failed because of two main entities, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They fight back and forth for their own power, for their own scenarios, and that war has cost America since 1913 almost $100 trillion. Okay, of which 34 trillion of it is debt. And a lot of it has gone overseas to fight World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it. And now we're paying through the nose for Ukraine. Why? Nobody knows why. Joe Biden knows why, because he gets money from them for that. He gets money from China to do what he's doing. Now, the last show we did, we brought up the fact that the Chinese are invading the United States, Chinese military. Matter of fact, I just saw something on TV where these people were acknowledging it. And evidently, they have found Chinese military-age men learning to do sniping. And I believe they're in Texas doing it, because Texas is a big state. You can hide in Texas. So I believe what they're doing is they're setting up so that if by God Trump happens to get elected, or if Trump is to be assassinated through snipers, the Chinese will do it. The Chinese prevented Trump from getting elected in 2020 with their COVID, that they worked with the Democrats. And so the country's gone as we had expected it to grow. The country's gone based on what the founding fathers wanted. And we're in some kind of shitball storm that's not going to change. Now, it can change. And that's, I can't stand to sit around and do nothing. Because then I sit in the recliner, I'm going, Mike, what are you going to do? Mike, what are you going to do? Mike, what are you going to do? Okay, you're breathing. God wants you to do something. Get involved or get out. So I can't get out. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's in me to fight. Let me tell you a bit about what you're going to see today in the show. All right, we have some videos. All right, the first video I'm going to show you is a video from Tucker Carlson's segments. This is when he visits the Moscow subway system. So I'm going to show you a video of the Moscow subway system, and then I'm going to show you a video of the New York subway system, which has been run by Democrats for over 100 years. Most of our big cities have been run by Democrats for over 100 years. That's why they are in such horrendous shape. Now the question is, what did they do with the money they steal from the federal government? They stole $46 billion from the federal government for COVID money that they used for racist programs, which they can't seem to get enough of. And so what are the Democrats doing with the money? The people who live in these blue zones are just living horrendously. We may actually see Chicago wake up and join the United States, but we can't guarantee that. And so the blue zones in this country, need to be segregated or set free from the United States, and that will do wondrous things for us. Okay? And that's part of the show I'm going to go through. Let me just tell you what I'm going to show you. Okay? There's a woman named Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's an escaped mental patient. We found out the other day. We don't have video of her escaping the mental institute, but we do have a video of her taken by her daughter on January 6th, where she's complaining about all the horrendous stuff that's going on, and then she wants to end it with and all at the instigation of the President of the United States. Well, why would she say that on a phone call to the governor of Virginia? She didn't have to say that line. That line has nothing to do with the governor of Virginia, but her daughter's videotaping this, you see. And so she's trying to put together evidence of a crime that was never committed by Donald Trump, but was committed by her. She gives herself away. She gave herself away on January 6th. When you read, if you get the congressional record for January 6th and you read what was going on while this shit was starting to happen, you'll see that she purposely limited the amount of people on the congressional floor for COVID so that they couldn't at any one point have enough people to try to overcome and throw out 6 electors from the 6 criminal states of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. 6 states. Those states committed fraud, election fraud. It's obvious. No matter what the hell the Democrats say, they know fraud was committed. Everyone knows fraud was committed. And we're at a point where the only thing that can be done, like Texas, is to have the states do it. The states have to take control of their own lives. Texas is getting overrun with illegal immigrants, okay, who are going to be registered voters this fall in November. You won't know it, but they'll be there, okay? I have a document I'm going to show you. I'll pull it out, and so what I do is I do this part of the show, and then I enter in all the documentation I'm going to show you to meld it in together. This is why I don't do the show live stream. If I did the show live stream, I don't have documents to show you and stuff unless I had a production studio to do that stuff, and I don't need that. I don't need that. What you need is the truth. What you need is my perspective and my honesty and my love of country. And things are getting pretty bad. Things are real bad. So you're going to see that. Then there's a gentleman named Hakeem Jeffries who is a lying piece of shit. And he thinks he's Barack Obama and always talks with his hands like this. He's an idiot. Okay? And we're going to cover him today as well and show you videos of a speech he makes where he attacks 50% of the population known as MAGA Republicans, which I am. So therefore, I must be an extremist.
To Congress to serve the people. This week has once again revealed that extreme MAGA Republicans have zero interest in doing anything productive that is designed to benefit the American people. House Republicans are the party of insurrection, impeachment, and illegitimate investigations. Nothing more, nothing less. Insurrection, impeachment, and illegitimate investigations. These extremists have made clear once again this week that they have no ideas, no agenda, no vision, and have made no progress on solving problems for everyday Americans. It's sad and it's shameful that extreme MAGA Republicans have turned the House of Representatives into a spectacle and a national embarrassment. The most unproductive Congress in modern American history, being presided over by these MAGA Republicans whose agenda, let me correct myself, is chaos, dysfunction, and extremism. That's their agenda.
Then we have an interview, just a short clipping of it, because I don't like to take you. If you need to see, you need to watch Tucker Carlson's show. You need to sign up on his YouTube thing, whatever it is, and subscribe to his show, because Tucker is on a mission. Okay, he's on a mission, and when someone's on a mission, you're going to get the best stuff from them. I'm on a mission. Of course, I've been on a mission since 1993 when all this shit began to happen. And hold on one second. Okay, we're back. Tucker's on a mission. I'm on a mission. Mark Levin's on a mission. We're talking, but nobody's listening. The time for talk is over with. The time to act is now. And I'm getting involved in this action. What I'm about to tell you is stuff I'm getting ready to do. Now, granted, I don't know if I can get Republicans in the states of, let's see, in the states of California, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Michigan, Washington, Colorado, Minnesota, and Oregon. These are red states run by blue zones. Okay? That means that if we were to get these people in these states to initiate a secession, in other words, separate themselves from the blue zones or separate the blue zones from them, take, for instance, Minnesota. Minnesota is not going to change its name to the Free State of Minnesota. What it's going to do is going to take the blue zone and change its name to Somalia or whatever. But you're going to separate from those 5 districts that have all these people that are ruining your lives. Okay? And it's a very small area. California is about 50-50. Half of California on the coast is gone to the wealthy elitist pigs. And then it's the East California that's free. Okay. In Pennsylvania really doesn't have much to do except basically take Philadelphia and send it to New Jersey. So what you do is you file, the state legislatures in Pennsylvania and Michigan should be very popular getting this stuff done. With Michigan, you have to separate 2 counties, Wayne and Oakland County, which has Detroit in it, and send that to Canada or something. But you cannot allow to have these blue zones steal elections. They did it in 2020. They know they did it in 2020. The proof of the pudding was that the Democrats, who when they planned these crimes, planned them all out. You got to give them credit. Okay, they already had January 6th planned probably a year or 2 years before it happened. Okay, and I've already got proof of it. There are people that had people come to them and say, hey, you're oath keepers, you're this. We want you to help the FBI infiltrate criminal activity that's going to occur. Of course, the criminal activity was only going to be Antifa and Black Lives Matter, like it always had been. And they don't get intertwined with anybody. The police don't have to do it. They know they exist for the purpose of the Democratic Party. But this stuff can be done. Right now, we've got 25 red states sending troops to Texas to fight the invasion, which is totally legal. It's in the Constitution. We know the Democrats don't like the Constitution because the Democrats hate the Constitution because those laws would force us to put and belt them into electric chairs, not electric cars, electric chairs. And I don't really care. But this way, we're giving them an opportunity to get the F out of the country. Okay, you can still live in your zone, but it's not part of the United States. You're not going to be sending people by the creation and secession in this. And by the way, you may be saying, Mike, what are you talking about? Well, let's see. Maine seceded from Massachusetts. Kentucky seceded from Virginia. And West Virginia seceded from Virginia. So we have 3 states that were created from being part of another state. So the secession issue is proven. Okay? There is precedent. West Virginia seceded from Virginia because they didn't want to have anything to do with slavery. And in this case, we're going to talk about the slavery of the Democrats. Causes to separation. You got to have a cause. You can't just say, well, you know, you have to have documented proof. Causes to separation. 1, embezzlement of trillions of taxpayer money. Since 1913, they're at $98 trillion. 98 trillion. Okay. 1982 was the savings and loan scam they pulled off. They got rich on that. 1992, the Fannie Mae. They got rich on that. That was a criminal operation, which they kind of let filter in, and then they used it again to create the 2007 banking mortgage crisis. That was the Democrat Congress. Okay. Matter of fact, the same people in 1992 who were Democrats that created the Fannie Mae bullshit law were also the ones in 2007 that got rid of the organization they created. The OFHEO, Office of Housing and Urban Development, that was criminally involved with that stuff. They got rid of them so they could hide it so people can't say, hey, these are the same people. Okay, 2010. Okay, Affordable Care Act and the Dodd-Frank bill. Okay, those were racist scenarios of creating racism. We're going to go through that as I go through each one of these. Okay, the Affordable Care Act was a fraud. They didn't make healthcare affordable. They didn't. Number 2, daily propaganda for the U.S. of sedition. The media attacks Republicans for sedition every day when actually they're the ones committing the sedition. CNN, Wikipedia, MSNBC, New York Times, ABC, NBC, CBS, Washington Post. In this separation, these media outlets go away. If your cable company wants to keep covering it, that's fine. But they're in blue zones. They're in the protected blue zones. Constant election interference. Okay, 1972 was Watergate. That was election interference. We already did a show on that. It's amazing. They got away with that shit. Then you had 2016, the Russia hoax. That didn't work. You had the 2017 to 2019 FBI Russia hoax investigation. Matter of fact, we're going to show you a video of Adam Schiff, where Adam Schiff is going to sit there on TV and lie through his teeth. This man, I don't know. He's full of shit more than Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden. It's amazing.
We're going to bring in California's Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, who joins us from Portland, Oregon this morning. Congressman Schiff, some of the investigations, or lack thereof, were just laid out by Kellyanne Conway from the White House. I want to give you a chance to respond to criticism that she has leveled in terms of congressional investigations.
Well, look, I think it was a broad effort to distract from the president's comments. And as you pointed out, Margaret, the president can't distinguish between any allegations of conspiracy against his campaign and the broader problem of Russia continuing to interfere in our elections. Dan Coats said this week that Russian efforts are pervasive in terms of their social media campaign to divide us. That's going to continue to the election. We see that the Russians are again trying to spearfish and potentially hack election campaigns. The only element we have not seen to date, as Director Wray said, is the hacking of voter registration databases or voter equipment. But as our intelligence chief said, that's just one keystroke away. And probably the biggest thing that the president could do is confront Moscow to establish some kind of deterrent. But instead, exactly the opposite message is being sent, and that is, and I think this was delivered in Helsinki, as long as the Russians interfere on Donald Trump's side in the midterms, Vladimir Putin can count on the president to never call him out. And that leaves us all too vulnerable.
But evidently, in order to get up high in the Democratic Party, you have to learn how to lie like unbelievable. And look at people right in the eye and go, they're full of shit. After a while, you start believing them. Treason acts to favor enemy. Okay. Biden took money. We don't know why. He got it from the Chinese, but he's allowing the Chinese to bring military-age people in. They're coming up from Panama. We did a show last week, and we showed the video from a Tucker Carlson interview where he had interviewed this one guy he's had on the show before who was down there, explained everything he saw, and there's even this video clip of the Chinese made for people to figure out how to go from Panama up to what turns out to be California. Because when they show the guy on the light going, he's going to California, he's not going to Texas. My belief is they're going to go in and invade California. Okay. They're going to go and invade California. I know you're going to say, Mike, you're crazy. Really? They're going to go and invade California. Go right up Route 5, and they'll take Portland and Seattle, and then they're going to cross into Vancouver and take Vancouver, and then from Vancouver, they're going to go up and take Alaska. What's in Alaska? Trillions of oil that they won't let the United States drill, but I'm sure Biden won't have a problem with China drilling it once he lets them take it over. The United States can't be taken in whole, okay? And everyone knows that the Chinese can't live without our food, so they can't attack the Midwest. They can buy the farms, which is what they've been doing. They've been trying to buy the farms without anybody understanding what they're doing. But they'll come in and they'll take over all the ports. Matter of fact, this report just the other day was talking about how our reports aren't getting prepared for war, but the Chinese are, and they're getting ready to move into the Mariana Islands and then have a base there. And then it's easier for them to take over the west coast of the United States. Yeah, I'm telling you, time to start putting some snipers up in the mountains in Nevada overlooking California. That shit is happening. I hate to tell you, that shit's happening. Okay, it's there. It's in the news. Treason acts to favor enemy. That's what we're talking about. Treason for Ukraine, China, and of course, Schiff. When you hear this video of Schiff's going to talk about the Russia. Russia's a hoax. The Russian people have no interest in attacking us. And there's a big reason for it. Because Putin doesn't like to play all his cards. And he made a comment in his interview with Tucker Carlson that sure, he's dealing with China. He's got the largest border with China. Chinese could put about a 10 million army and go right into Russia and cause a whole bunch of shit. And don't tell me Putin's not worried about it. But what Putin's moving forward with is creating trade and building products. And you're going to see the video of what a Russian subway looks like versus the New York subway. And then you tell me who you'd rather have living and running your cities, the Russians or the Democrats.
One of the ways you understand a society is through its infrastructure, the places where people gather, the places where they go to travel. If you've got a lot of people in one place, it tells you a lot about the people. So with that in mind, we're standing in front of the Kievskaya metro station, and there's a train station next to it. Now, the metro station was built by Joseph Stalin 70 years ago. And the question is, how's it doing now? after 70 years. So we went into it to take a look, and what we found shocked us. Now, that's not an endorsement of Stalin, who was bad, obviously, nor is it an endorsement of the current president, Vladimir Putin. You may not like him either. But it doesn't change the reality of what we saw, or more precisely, didn't see. There's no graffiti, there's no filth, there are no foul smells, there are no bums or drug addicts or rapists or people waiting to push you onto the train tracks and kill you. No, it's perfectly clean and orderly. And how do you explain that? We're not even going to guess. That's not our job. We're only going to ask the question. And if your response is to shout at us slogans dumber than the slogans we used to call Soviet and mock, that's not really an answer. How does Russia, a country we're told is a gas station with nuclear weapons, have a subway station that normal people use to get to work and home every single day that's nicer than anything in our country? We're not going to speculate. We're just going to raise the question and wait for someone in charge to give us an answer. What is the answer? So we'll stop the lecture and let you take a look for yourself at what the Kievskaya metro station in Moscow, Russia looks like today, February 2024, in the middle of a war. Here it is.
Racial discrimination to support all of the above. The DEI and all that other shit was passed in 2010 with the Dodd-Frank bill. Now, it's just coincidence. Just coincidence. But every major shove it up the ass of the American laws are always done when A, you have a Democrat president, a Democrat Senate, and a Democrat Congress. Just like you had in 2010, okay? And that's when they shoved the Affordable Care Act up our ass, and they shoved the Dodd-Frank bill up our ass, which was supposed to cover for the bank situations the Democrats created with Fannie Mae. See, they create the problem, they pass the problem, they create the problem, and then they pass the fix, which isn't a fix, it's a fraud. It's all a fraud. It's a game. We've been watching Democrats for I don't know how many years playing a game with us. At least since 1913 when they came up with that stupid tax law. Constant violation of the Constitution. Constitution's the law. These people don't want to follow the Constitution because if they follow the Constitution, they would have to not do what they want to do. So secession is the answer. Beginning, first state's going to be Oregon. So, I don't have people to help me with this, so I was doing the studying yesterday to see exactly what counties. Now, it turns out that Oregon's already worked out a plan to secede, but they wanted to join Idaho. Well, that doesn't make sense. It proves that a lot of people don't understand the concept. All right. If we have 10 states that decide to separate from the blue zones in their states and they create a new state, what happens? Well, if you have 10 new GOP states, That's 20 new senators that go to Washington. And even if we still have all these assholes in California and Seattle and Portland and Detroit and Philadelphia shoving shit people up our ass in Congress, we'll have 20 more senators than they will ever have. And they won't be able to do shit. They won't be able to go, hey, let's send $95 billion overseas. It's just America's money. Hey, let's forget the border. Where there's a will, there's a way. And we all, everything, I'm not saying create any kind of war. There's no shooting war. It's all in the courts. It's all in the courts. So I just need to read this to you. This is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, established on July 21st, 2010, under the Dodd-Frank Criminal Banking Act. Now, I call it criminal banking because the Democrats were committing criminal banking with Fannie Mae and everything and the mortgages, and that caused the issue. And then, of course, they put the two biggest bank criminals, Dodd and Frank, together to put this law together. And Barney Frank, he and his partner, Maxine Waters, they went and committed fraud by going ahead and changing the law while it was before print or something. They changed the little wording so that their bank in Massachusetts would then qualify for TARP funds because it wasn't. And the government already told them it wasn't. That didn't stop them from committing fraud. Mission and vision: to regulate the offering and provisions of consumer financial products and services under the federal consumer financial laws and to educate and empower consumers to make better informed financial decisions. Workforce diversity: to develop and maintain relationships with diverse colleagues and professional organizations in order to improve the Bureau's talent pool and pipeline and develop a high-performing workforce from all segments of society. Bullshit! It's not from all segments of society because you don't want white males in this. This is openly discriminatory against white males, okay? Yeah, there's probably a diversity deal going on with all the media, and that's why you don't see white people in commercials anymore. You don't see white couples anymore, and very few white males. Okay? Because the answer to reducing the amount of brain things here for a second. Reducing racial discrimination is just to have more racial discrimination. Yeah, more. Let's have more racial discrimination. All right, I'm just going to throw a couple of things out at you here. The planned bankrupting of America and the Concord resolves to fix it. This was a show I did on October 7th, 2023. Okay. The Uniparty's 30-year war in America. I limited it to 30 years, but the war really, there's several dates. Okay. You can say that the second Civil War began the day they shot Lincoln. Lincoln was also, a president that won pretty much by a landslide. Democrats don't like Republicans who win by landslides, like Nixon and like Trump. Yeah, Trump won the landslide in 2020. It just didn't come out that way. It's sophisticated. So, we had the Democrats, the Clintons, on April 19th, attack Waco, and then on April 19th, 95, attack Oklahoma City. The reason why the attacks were on April 19th is so that they could try to pass it off as actually militia people and not FBI committing the crimes. Okay. Oklahoma City was a great opportunity to blow up 186 Americans so that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton could get reelected. 1998 Fannie Mae scandal. 1999 missile tech to China. Matter of fact, in my documents, I was reading about Charlie Tree because I did a press release, and the press release talks about the fact that The Chinese began investing in the Democratic Party in 1992 with Charlie Tree, with the Clintons, and then I was able to pull up the article that reported when he was, they decided to let him work a deal so he didn't go to jail. That was in May of 1999, around the same time that Clinton sent missile technology, gyro technology, allowed it to go to China so they could put up a communication satellite. Yeah. Gee, Bill, could they also send nuclear missiles to Portland, Oregon, and Boston, Massachusetts, and Oklahoma City now, thanks to that technology you let them have? I believe that's treason. That's just the thing. I believe that's treason. Okay, I'm getting so tired of going through this stuff. Election interference, Hillary 2016, Mueller 2017-19, the two fake impeachments. I'm telling you, Nancy Pelosi's a piece of work. One day, I pray to God that we'll watch her sit in an electric chair and get fried. The January 6th insurrection hoax, more and more each day is coming out about that. You're going to see a little video on that. Okay, the Democrats have been trying to keep Donald Trump off the ballot because of the 14th Amendment, Section 3. So let's see what it says. 14th Amendment, Section 3. No person shall be a senator. Was Trump a senator? No. Representative in Congress. Was Trump a congressman? No. Or elector of president. Was he an elector of himself? No. Or vice president. Or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under the state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress? No. Or as an officer of the United States? No. The president is not an officer of the United States. He's the president. As a member of the state legislature? No. Executive or judicial officer? No. To support the Constitution shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. So he never did any of that. So it doesn't qualify for him. Why the hell would you be people putting this bullshit through? You know it's going to get rejected by the Supreme Court because they have to follow the Constitution. Just because Democrats don't. Here's one last thing. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. I guess the Democrats can't read Section 1. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, not deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So Nancy Pelosi violated that on January 6th by not allowing the due process of the election of the president to complete itself. That was the purpose for the phony insurrection bullshit. Here's another one. The validity of the public debt of the United States, authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. Okay, so we cannot question any of the validity of any federal debt as of 1865. Any debt after that is open business. I'm sorry to read these things with the understanding of what they're supposed to say. You get this shit hit at you all day long. All day long. CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is a fake organization the government put together in 2010 to create, thanks to the Hiawatha. We're the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a U.S. government agency dedicated to making sure you are treated fairly by banks, lenders, and other financial institutions. What? So if I go to a bank and they turn me down, can I? No, Mike, you're white. Forget it. Okay, forget it. I'm white. White people don't count in this country. Sorry. All right, there's so much evidence for the purpose of separation. I got a couple more things to cover, then I'm going to show you the videos, and that's going to be into the show. I got to try to keep these shows down to 90 minutes. Make a donation to Crew. Really? Okay, Crew is a organization in Washington, D.C. that's designed to help criminal Democrats go after non-criminal Republicans. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump is disqualified from holding office because he incited the insurrection. Oh, I'm sorry. Damn it, there was no insurrection. Unless we want to change the laws and change the terms of insurrection, but nobody was armed. There was no insurrection. The FBI said there was no insurrection. And Trump wasn't found guilty of insurrection, so fuck you. This is a huge win, but it's not over. It's a huge win. A huge win. Now Trump v. Anderson is in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court, where we know they're going to shove it up our ass because it's full of shit. Help us hold Trump accountable, no matter what happens next. Oh, so no matter what, so if Trump's not guilty, we still have to go after him as being guilty. We need to collect money so we can attack all day long with lies and innuendo, so the American people after a while will go, boy, these Nazis are good at propaganda. Repeat, 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 repeat. I've had enough of this shit. So this is the last show that I'm presenting to you all the criminal activity of the Democrats. Okay? After this, we're going right to the separation. That's what we're working on. And we'll probably just do updates on the separation. The separation is the way to go. Here, this was cute. I saw this. It says, and once again, the suspect is not white, so we will now end all coverage of this event. Somebody's pointing out the truth, huh? All right, so I got a couple more things here, and then I'm going to show you the videos, and that'll be it for today's show. Like I said, I don't know how, I forgot to check what time I had started. I always do that. Okay, this is a press release we sent out, Great Secession, the solution to ending yearly progressive tax theft. Since 1913, the American people have been enslaved by a progressive tax code that has seen trillions of U.S. taxpayer money transferred overseas to pay for 6 international wars. The first international war was World War I. That's why they had to get this thing going in 1913. Thank God there was a progressive Democrat, Woodrow Wilson, in office. In the past 3 years, the Progressive Democrat Party has sent over $150 billion to Ukraine, and since Barack Obama, $375 billion has gone to foreign aid, all from the pockets of Americans whose cities are crumbling while the world's cities flourish and while America sits on $35 trillion in debt. Wait till you see the video of what Moscow's subway system looks like. America now spends $1.4 trillion annually to process the convoluted and corrupt tax code system enforced by jackbooted IRS agents, who the progressives want to arm with assault weapons and grow by 87,000 tax collect soldiers, while the U.S. border is left open to penetration by millions of international criminals. The 1913 tax code was devised for international theft of American wealth, and Mike Wiley, the Rumble.com video radio talk show host for The World This Week with Mike Wiley, invites anyone to state otherwise on this week's show. Now, what we do is we're not doing a live stream and we're not having people sign up. We've got another show in the works that we're going to do besides these, which will be more interactive with people, and we're actually going to have specified guests who are running for office. The Democrats gave Americans the Great Depression of 1929, it's proven, and the Great Recession of 2007. I'll never forget that. I had no money for about 5-6 years thanks to Barack Obama. And now it's finally time for Americans to give back to the Democrats with the boot and the Great Secession of 1924. This is a campaign issue and should be used as a campaign issue to generate excitement for all Americans who have had enough with these thieving Democrats. After the communists left the Soviet Union in 1991 and joined the CCP in Beijing or the CPC in Washington, that's the Congressional Progressive Caucus, there's about 104 of them, they're all Democrats, have interfered with national elections to consolidate their theft of American families' wealth with $7.2 trillion in just 3 years after the obvious election fraud of November 2020 and the January 6th interference of the 2020 election due process by the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. She made a mistake calling her daughter up and having her daughter come videotape her for this famous historic day that proves she's nothing but an idiot.
Hi, Governor. This is Nancy. Governor, I don't know if you have been approached about the Virginia National Guard. Mr. Hoyer was speaking to Governor Hogan, but I still think you probably need the okay of the federal government in order to come into another jurisdiction. Thank you. Oh my gosh, they're just breaking windows. They're doing all kinds of. It's really that they said somebody was shot. It was just horrendous, and all at the instigation of the President of the United States. Okay, thank you, Governor. I appreciate what you're doing, and if you don't mind, I'd like to stay in touch. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Virginia Guard has been called in.
You know, I'm just talking to Governor Northam, and what he said is they sent 200 state police and a unit of the National Guard.
The World This Week with Mike Wiley, sponsored by the Alliance of Free States LLC. That's our nonprofit. If you want to provide funding for this show, you go to allianceoffreestates.com, the website, and you actually all you have to do is type in Alliance Dash and it'll show up. And we've got military amendment shirts for 3 states produced so far: Florida, Arizona, and Texas, the border states. We also have the book, which happens to coincidentally be right here, The Dyer Village Right-Wing Conspirator. For anyone that's thinking of running for office, or if you really don't know what the hell's been going on since '93, that has it covered. Oh, and by the way, Hillary Clinton has never sued me for defamation. So that means everything I wrote must be true. They have been at war with American secession is an appropriate resolution to get the Democrat hands out of the pockets of America's legal citizens. We have to secede from the Democrats. Okay? They have put together a plan that I believe they established before they shot Lincoln, when they decided they were going to have to come off the battlefield because they just could not keep putting up with soldiers and military equipment to match the military might of the North. So they had to come up with a plan to win the war in the long term. And the first thing they did was assassinate Lincoln. With Lincoln's assassination, then you would have a Democratic president, because stupidly, Lincoln thought, yeah, let me pick a Democrat VP to unite the country. No, we're going to shoot you, and then we'll have a Democrat president who will make sure that black people still get fucked over with Reconstruction being minimized and tossed. You know, the Democrats have a problem. They have a severe history of constant racism against black people. Now, list of rebellions in the United States, I'm not going to go through all of them. One that I would say is 13 colonies, yes, the Revolutionary War. Then you had the Civil War was considered a rebellion. They were not considered a new nation. They were just considered states of the United States, but their governments had gone cuckoo. There's actually quite a few. And then we get down to the two interesting things. We get down to the Capitol Hill occupied protest in Seattle, Washington, June 8th to July 1st. Protesters take over the Seattle Police Department's East Precinct and the surrounding region. What? Did the January 6th participants in Trump's speech, I'm not going to talk about the attack on the Capitol because there really was no attack on the Capitol, unless you want to arrest the 200 FBI agents that were dressed as Trump supporters to make it seem that way. The city government was both unwilling and unable to control agitation, with the Seattle mayor describing the atmosphere to be more like a block party atmosphere.
Yeah, there wasn't really a fight.
They were George Floyd protesters. George Floyd. Now, why would they be George Floyd protesters? What did the police ever do to him? Besides nothing. He died of an overdose of fentanyl while he was in the custody of the police. The medical department that does the autopsies showed he wasn't murdered. But for some reason, they didn't want anyone to know that. Maybe because it was an election year and they wanted to use it to destroy and hurt Trump's election. So it's election interference. The George Floyd thing was election interference. And then, of course, they have the 2021 United States Capitol attack. Supporters of President Donald Trump, some of whom were armed, some of them were armed.
Yeah, we don't actually know who was armed, but we were told some of them were armed. So I'm armed. See, I'm armed. I guess that counts.
More bullshit from Democrats? No. Why would they continue to bullshit us? Some of whom were armed, stormed the Capitol building after a rally held in... Now, let's see. How many people were shot by these supposedly armed Americans?
Well, yeah, you had that one girl. She was shot and killed. Oh, but wait! She was killed by a black police officer.
She's white. Was that racist? She was unarmed, too. He took the gun out and fired it right into her. They broke and his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, they broke through barriers, assaulting Capitol police officers, and broke down doors, smashed through windows, and stole public property. None of which has been proven. The supporters obtained access to the Senate floor balconies and offices and sat at the Senate president's desk. Holy shit. The rebel groups were supporters of President Donald Trump, far-right groups, Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, Roper Army, America First Movement. I'm the America First Movement. Started in 1994 when I ran for the U.S. Senate.
I wasn't there.
Result: failure to overturn the presidential election, delay of counting electoral votes by several hours. Oh, yes, several hours. Resumption of presidential transition. So why did the Republicans, who had documentation to overturn the election, decide not to do it?
Well, we were shamed because we acted like shitbums for what the Democrats did. While we didn't do it, they blamed us, so we're guilty.
Yeah, we're guilty. We're guilty. Okay.
Pardon the interruptions, but...
So the George Floyd protests, for some reason, are not considered riots. They're not considered insurrections. They're not considered any sedition. It's a police brutality protest. Those are okay. See, those are okay. The George Floyd protests were a series of police brutality protests that began in Minneapolis, the United States, on May 26, 2020, an election year.
Please don't let it affect the election, okay?
The civil unrest and protests began as part of international reactions. International reactions? The hell does that matter to us? We don't care what the international reactions are going to be. Anyways, we all know now that the whole thing was bullshit. And a report from the Armed Conflict Location Event Data Project estimated that between May 26 and August 22, 93% of individual protests were peaceful and non-destructive. You notice how these people in Wikipedia come up with all this bullshit to make it seem like, hey, it's not really a protest. No, it's not. Remember, you're affected by this every day. This is going to continue for the rest of your life until you send these people out the door. Okay.
Hey, I guess Fannie Willis is in trouble. Yeah, evidently she's full of shit. Did you really think she wasn't?
Remember, the Democrats have to hire people who are criminals in order to pull off all this fraudulent shit against Trump. We can't put up with this anymore. We can't deal with this shit anymore. That's why it's time for us to get these things fixed. Okay? Okay, take a good look at the board. Video's taking it. Yeah, you see it. Okay. Right? Embezzlement of trillions of tax dollars, daily propaganda for the use of sedition, constant election interference, treasonous acts to favor enemies, racial discrimination to support all of the above, constant violation of the Constitution. 6 causes of separation. We can't live in a good country anymore and have this done right. We can't. So I'm just going to review to you what we're going to see. I'm going to first show you the Russian subway and then the New York subway, and you make a decision who's better at managing the cities. Maybe we should just have the Russians come in and run our cities and we'll send the Democrats to there. But probably send the Democrats to China because the Russians probably won't want the Democrats. But the Chinese will take them.
Right now at 5:30, a pungent problem for strap hangers, just in time for the summer sweat. Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
Welcome back, I'm Alice Gaynor. It's hot, it smells, and it's getting dirtier every day. That's what more and more commuters are saying about the subway system as the summer sun takes aim at the city.
CBS 2's Christine Sloan went underground for a closer look.
In city subways, riders tell us they're seeing more urine on the ground these days, and the smell down here is making them sick. What does it smell like?
It's a little stinky. Just tons of smells.
Definitely on the R train, I would say. We got to fix the R train.
The dirt, trash mixed in with the heat, along with the homeless problem, the worst it's ever been, say those who spend time on the trains.
People lying on the street, people sitting on the sidewalk with their belongings. It's very sad.
Just this week, City Council passing 8 bills making minor offenses like littering, public drinking, and urination a civil matter instead of criminal.
Do you think that something like this, when you're lowering an offense on public urination, do you think it's going to create a dirtier city?
Not at all. And I don't think there's any proof of that. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have an initial reaction. It is still illegal activity. A police officer can still stop you.
Not everyone seems to think it's gotten dirtier and smellier out here. Some say the daily sights and smells are just part of living in the city.
Was it smelly and dirty in the subway?
No, it wasn't at all. It was nice.
An opinion, though, not shared by all who say they'd rather walk than be down here. In Midtown, Christine Sloan, CBS 2 News.
So the MTA tells us subway stations are cleaned and power washed on a regular basis. As for the homeless, an MTA spokesperson tells us to reach out to the city. Now, the mayor's office says that they've dedicated more than $6 million this year to keeping public spaces clean and that quality of life is a priority.
And then you're going to hear about the D.C. police chief who's going to then say everything that shows that she's full of shit.
You've described this as an intelligence failure, but a failure is something that happens accidentally.
None of the intelligence that was coming up talking about the storming of the Capitol, killing members of Congress, or killing my police officers was ever discussed at the conference calls that I was on, at least.
That doesn't seem to make sense at all.
It doesn't make sense. I'm looking at my men and women having their asses handed to them, and my first thought was, fuck it, I will take whatever discipline there is.
Once things got out of control, for 71 minutes, Pelosi refused to allow you to bring in the National Guard. Why don't we have answers?
It doesn't seem like people really want to get to the bottom of it, and it gets worse from there. I had a conference call with the leaders of all the law enforcement. It was a call I coordinated. Not one person on that call talked about any concerns for the intelligence, the attack on the Capitol that we were seeing that was out there. That's what's scary.
This sounds like a setup to me. I'm sorry, it does.
New Jersey State Police beat DC National Guard to the Capitol.
Wait, cops drove from New Jersey before the National Guard could get from the Armory on Capitol Hill to the Capitol. Why isn't this story everywhere?
I have no idea.
And then we're going to play Adam Schiff. We're close out with Adam Schiff, who is the biggest low-life piece of shit liar on the planet. He is just amazing. Okay. I do want to make a couple of points about Hakeem Jeffries. He makes a note today, a gentle note to the House Republicans: you work for the American people, not Vladimir Putin.
Oh, is he trying to use that stewed shit again about Putin?
See, there's that Russia hoax shit. They've been using that since 2016. So it must be a Democrat thing. Okay? I think what it is I think it's the Democrats telling us that the Russians are on our side, but not on the Democrat side. That's why they're always picking the Russians as being enemies that the Republicans are cavorting with. And they never complain about the Chinese, do they?
No, never. No.
Then it goes on to say, pass the damn bipartisan national security bill that will allow 5,000 illegals to come in every damn day, cost us billions of dollars, and not do a fucking thing. And then here it is. I hate this shit because I know firsthand these assholes like to shoot people, hire people to shoot people in an election year for gun control. And then they open up their big mouths and say stupid shit, and here it is. This is Hakeem Jeffries. And I gotta remember, Hakeem Jeffries was found wandering New York City one day, and he was and people thought he was imitating and impersonating Barack Obama, so they decided to make him a congressman. He says, prayer for the people of Kansas City and everyone impacted by another mass shooting. Another mass shooting. No one in America is safe until we get weapons of war off our streets and end the gun violence epidemic.
Yeah, it's an epidemic.
Democrats are an epidemic. They're the ones that, they kill 1 million people with COVID. They don't give a shit about that, do they? Oh, we only killed 1.3 million Americans died from COVID. Actually, probably only about 1 million. We had to throw 300 million people and go, yeah, it was COVID, even though it wasn't, because they're in the threshold that probably wouldn't have gotten sick with COVID. But we did get rid of 1 million senior citizens. And their $250 billion in Social Security is available for us to invest in the new criminals we've brought into the country. All right. This shit incites me to a point where I'm getting a little tired of it. So, We got to do what we got to do. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to tell you. I know what to tell you, but I can't keep telling you over and over again until you do something. But I am getting involved. We're going on the trail. Oregon is the first stop, then Seattle, then California, then Colorado, and then Nevada. Okay. We're going to attack those 5 states. That's half the problem. And see if we can get them to act to process the secession and separate the blue from the red, separate the criminal from the innocent, separate the scumbags from the honest Americans, and have them not spend any more of our money. I mean, how much money do you have? How much money do you have socked away in your retirement accounts? These assholes, and by the way, I think it's time to ask the Congress to eliminate all the existing amount of monies that they have as unfunded liabilities for their retirement. Make that shit go away. Make that shit go away. That's done. That's done. These people shouldn't be getting a dime. I don't give a shit what they're doing. They're not worth it. Okay? Cut them back to 3 months for 2 years. 3 months 1 year, 3 months the next year, and that's it. No more full year bullshit. You ever see what these people do? Look it up. They pass all these laws. They go, oh, I create this law. I did this. I tried to get this passed. I did. Make them all go away for 2 years and let's see if we miss them. Huh? Oh God, let's see. That's $200,000 times 435. That's 800,000. But not 800,000. That's $800 million. Huh? We could save by not paying these assholes to do nothing. I mean, literally to do nothing. Got nothing to do one day? Watch this. Well, you don't have to do it during the day. You go up to your TV thing and go into YouTube, and YouTube will have these clips of what's going on in Congress. Watch them. Watch how Democrats and Republicans fight like little children over shit, okay? And the Democrats are always going, you can't do it. It's sickening, it's disgusting, and yet we pay for it. And that's the end of that tune. Next show is going to be on the legal matters I'm going to start fighting because they need to be fought, because I'm not the only American that had it shoved up their ass by the Democrats and the tax code and one specific person like Nancy Pelosi, whose congressional bullshit in 2008, 2009 made sure that I had a law shoved up my ass. But
Democrats, no, they don't have to pay that money back because they bought their house when Barack was president. Yeah.
That day's coming. I love you. Bye.